Climate change is one of the biggest concerns to farmers. Learn more from Glenn Ravenberg in the Soilworks episode focused on how growers can help correct the cause of climate change. It is always cheaper to correct the cause than react to the symptom.
This is the Soilworks Correct the Cause podcast featuring Glenn Ravenberg and brought to you by Soilworks and Acres, U.S.A. Welcome to the 10th and final episode of the Soilworks Correct the Cause podcast. In the 9th episode, we went through the topic of soil carbon, and in this episode, we're going to expand on that topic and talk about how you can offset climate change with soil and carbon management techniques. So our goal today will be to help you understand more about how your practices on your farm, field, or ranch can correct the cause of the climate crisis. Glenn, welcome.
Hey, look forward to getting into climate change topics.
So let's set the stage. Glenn, you travel far and wide and see a lot of farms every year. So what are you seeing as far as climate effects on farms?
Well, I think anybody that is in the farming industry realizes that weather is a variable, but it seems like it's becoming more variable the last few years. It seems like wet areas are becoming wetter, dry areas are becoming drier, we're getting more extreme weather events, and it's almost like Mother Nature's getting mad. The wind is harder, the rain is pounding, the dry is excruciating, and it seems like Mother Nature is shaking us, saying, hey, pay attention. And yeah, I think that there's something going on, and this topic is almost like talking about religion in some areas, but we are seeing the effects of this, not just in the United States, but across North America where we work. We've also seen big weather changes in South Africa, New Zealand, as well as Australia and parts of Asia. So there is weather change going on. What's really causing it? Not sure. There's a lot of different things that possibly did, but I think carbon and carbon dioxide could definitely be a contender for the problem of it.
Thank you, Glenn. And climate scientists have been pretty clear that carbon and carbon dioxide release is directly linked to the rise in Earth temperatures that we're seeing on an almost annual basis at this point. So, what can agriculture and our industry and farmers individually do to help offset this issue?
I believe that Mother Nature is incredibly resilient. And here's what we find is we take sap readings on plants looking at the blood or the liquid of the plant. And we measure that in bricks, measuring the sugar content, sugar being carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, because that's the plant's job, is to grab sunlight, water, and minerals and make sugar. And sugar is a big component that is made up of carbon and oxygen. And what we're finding is most plants that are growing all across the world, not just the U.S., but Central America, South America, North America, everywhere, these plants are only 25 to 50% of their genetic nutritional potential. Let me put that in a different form. Most plants could double, triple, and even quadruple their carbon sequestration ability. They have the ability to fix this. This climate change would be a problem that would be nothing more than a memory if and when farmers increase the health of their soil, increase the carbon sequestrating ability of the plants, and guess what? Farmers will get to sell more carbon, and that carbon is needed by animals and humans because we need carbon within our diets, within our digestive tracts. We have to have carbon to live. Now, there's a lot of different groups out there saying, well, the carbon sinks need to be the answer, and we need to store this carbon in the soil. No, That is not the way Mother Nature's intended. The air has to go into the soil to respirate the microbes. The microbes naturally give off CO2. The CO2 is 1.5 times heavier than air and has to be volumetrically pushed up so it can get sucked back into the leaf. That's the carbon cycle, and this carbon cycle has been going on since the beginning of time. All we have to do is understand the plan that was laid out in the 6 days of creation, and that's allowing the plants to pull more CO2 in. And what the two things those plants need are calcium and phosphorus, and those two minerals will allow microbes to start doing their job, and now you have Mother Nature healing herself, and climate change will be nothing but a bad memory.
It's fascinating. So, I mean, there's enough energy potential around the world just in the plants that are existing on the surface of the planet today to help offset and store the carbon that we are polluting the atmosphere with. And that is a really fundamental change. And I think a lot of farmers, growers, even backyard gardeners should be excited about the potential they have to help this crisis. So, Glenn, it really comes down to us getting to work, right?
Yeah, and here's the cool thing is when farmers can increase the carbon content of their plants will be more efficient, they will have higher yields, higher nutrition, heavier nutrient density, longer shelf life, and they will be more profitable. It's a win-win for everybody.
Thank you, Glenn. What a positive way to end the series and this episode. The fundamentals, both in this episode and all series, really have given us the foundation to find profit in our farms, to raise healthy food, to have healthy customers, and contribute positively to the environment. We can all work together for these big goals by increasing the health in our soil. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to Glenn Ravenberg for the 10th episode of the Soilworks series. Please feel free to share these with other growers who are searching for healthy ways to regenerate soil life and grow healthy food and plants. Thanks from Soilworks. Thanks from Glenn Ravenberg. Thanks from me, and thanks from everyone here at Acres USA. Happy growing, and let's get those causes corrected.